Hey everybody, welcome into today's webinar. Obviously, in the next couple of minutes here, the numbers are going to keep filling out. So we are going to just wait a couple minutes here to get started. But thank you everybody for joining. It's great to see so many familiar faces, as well as a lot of new ones here. In the attendee list. If you haven't joined one of these before, hopefully you're looking forward to it. They're always our favorite webinars that we do. And I see a lot of people that have probably been on well over, 4 or 5 of these. So to get engaged, I see we already have somebody in the chat. If you wouldn't mind just saying hi to everybody else, let's go ahead and as we are at least where I am at, the weather is getting very hot. Let's go ahead and do today where you're from and what's your favorite season. Are you a summer person, a winter person? Do you love the snow? Do you want to be on the beach? I certainly want to be on the beach right now, that's for sure. But
That would be
um,
nice.
well, you technically are, Jordan.
A couple blocks away. Come on, I'm not right now.
Well, cool. Virginia Beach, Virginia Fall. Great. Thank you, Amy. Again, if you haven't joined one of these before, we always like to make them as engaging as possible. And part of that is obviously open chat, right? Chat with other Hudu users, other people from our team. We'll keep chat open the whole time, and it's a great place to kind of just interact with other people that use Hudu, talk through features and everything like that. So got Jackson, Mississippi, Spring. See, it's funny. I already see. Actually, I see no summers in there, which is shocking to me. But Houston, Cleveland, Germany. Max, I think you're the winner so far at farthest away. Texas has 1 day winners. Yeah, I'm sure that is true. Um, yeah, 3 summers and a fall. Well, cool. Thank you everybody for engaging. There we go, Steve. We got a summer. Yep, you're like me. Actually, summer and fall. Probably the top two there. Well, hey, it does look like our numbers have started to fill out, and we are a couple minutes in here. So you all keep engaging in the chat, talking with each other. That's all great, but we can go ahead and get us started today. Um, our agenda today is going to be going over some introductions, going over the Q2 release updates, and we did have quite a few of them. So making sure that you all know everything that we've released, and hopefully, if you didn't know that we released something, now you can start to get that implemented in your own Hudu environment. We'll also go to the part that I think most people are probably here for, which is the coming soon part, everything that we have planned for the next quarter and beyond. We'll go over some resources for you, which does include some exciting stuff upcoming, and then go over, of course, a Q&A like we always do. So, who you're talking to today. If you haven't joined one of these before, my name is Daniel Nelson. I am the sales lead here with Hudu. Handle a lot of obviously customer calls and partner calls, and so I'm sure I've been um, on a call with a lot of you in the audience today. And also do these webinars, which are always super exciting. Jordan, I'll shoot it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Hey, everybody, welcome in. My name is Jordan Hart. I am the product manager here at Hudu. So I will be leading the coming soon section, answering questions as Daniel goes through what we've released this quarter, and try to answer as many questions as I can on what plans we have for the future. So thanks for joining today. Daniel said, this is also my favorite webinar of every quarter. So excited to get started.
Yeah, and if you were planning on hopping off early today, I probably wouldn't because Jordan's coming soon section is even more stacked than usual today. So hope you're all looking forward to that. Some housekeeping items. I actually saw we got a question in there. Michael, is the webinar recorded? Um, yes, it is. We'll be posting the recordings anywhere you found out about this webinar, whether it's our community. or socials or anything like that, you'll have access to the recording afterwards. Some Q&A chat stuff, I've already mentioned this, but our chat is really designated for engaging with other people in the community. If you see a feature that you like that's coming soon, tell us about it. If you want to ask about how somebody else is doing things, right? Chats for you all to engage in, and interact in. We will keep an eye on chat, of course, but please use Q&A for any questions you have directly for us. It makes it a lot easier to go through them as they come in. So just use the Q&A for questions, use the chat for anything else, comments, interactions, etc. Starting off with my section at our quarter two recap, we were able this quarter to release essentially three main app releases with some patches included in there. That stems from 2.41 all the way through 2.43.2. We did release a mobile version as well as a patch with that, and then an extension version and quite a few patches with that as well. So I'll be taking you through kind of the big picture items that were in those releases, making sure everybody has a good grasp and concept on what we've released. And if you have any questions on those, this is a great time to ask those as well. So, real quick before we jump into features, if we have any Adigy users out there, I'm sure you already know this, but Adigy is deprecating the API v1 on June 30th, so we're only less than a week away from that. Hudu has already released our new Adigy integration version, so just make sure that if you use Adigy, make sure those credentials are updated as soon as possible. Otherwise, I believe on the 30th, the integration will no longer work for you. So again, just kind of an announcement before we jump in. Um, so 2.41 this quarter started with a huge overhaul to our processes feature. I always like to tie in why we did the things we did. Why did we make these improvements, introduce that new feature? And a big part of processes was that one, there was a lot missing. So that's why we introduced things like subtasks, optional tasks, and a couple of other things in there as well. But the bigger one for me was probably that people were kind of confused. When do we use a global process template? When do we use a company template? Why can I create templates for both? And how does this really like logistically work? And so that's where the concept of runs came in. So being able to have a central repository of every time we are actually completing a process for a company. It certainly has made organization a lot easier and definitely auditing for past processes and SOPs that your team has completed. Um, Hopefully you've enjoyed that feature so far. If you have any, feedback or questions on anything, obviously let us know. And this also gave you the ability to export processes, which was a huge request we had gotten over the past, honestly, years. So we were super excited to bring that to our PDF exports as well. More on PDF exports a bit later. Um, a newer feature, this was part of 243, but we essentially brought Hudu Radar to the main app. If you haven't used Hudu Radar or trialed Hudu Radar at this point, you'll see a lot of differences in how that works now, right? Rather than doing everything through a separate application, we can now manage Radar directly in Hudu. This was the number one biggest request we got when we released Radar was we don't want another place to manage things. And so our Radar team was able to essentially bring this to the core app and being, giving you the ability to see all of your Radar devices in one central view directly in the company that you have Radar deployed to. Um, so a great change here. And again, maybe you trialed Hudu Radar when it was not centralized in Hudu, and you're interested in trialing it now that it is, and some improvements have been made, like adding a server's endpoint and things such of that nature. Obviously, want to give you the ability to test it out again. So just let us know if that's something you want to do. This is probably our biggest feature, in my opinion, from this past quarter. It's definitely been the one that, as we've attended quite a few conferences this past quarter, we've had the most conversations and interactions about, and just so many cool things that we've seen people being able to do with this, and that would be our MCP. Um, Again, a little background into why this was released. Hudu's always been focused on modernizing, making your lives easier as you're working in your documentation. For a long time, people really leveraged on the API to do that, and they still do. And we have a very robust REST API that allows you to make connections and build your own integrations and set up automations through tools as you need to. The MCP is kind of the next level, right? The more as things continue to become more AI focused, Hudu obviously wanted to step in and make sure that you had those capabilities with Hudu as well. So, if you haven't tested out the MCP yet, you can do that in your external app section of Hudu. You can enable MCP. Maybe your team standardizes on Claude, Copilot, ChatGPT, Cursor. And now with the MCP, you're actually able to connect your Hudu documentation directly to that LLM. This is going to give you the ability to read, edit, and create KB articles, both singularity and in bulk. You can do things now like I have a ticket come into PSA and I need to either create a KB article or edit an existing one based off of that ticket resolution. Our time now goes from the tech needing to identify the KB exists, go and actually manually create those changes, to now I tell my good pal Claude to go do it, and it's done in 5 seconds, right? So a lot of time saving, a lot of ease of use, and the possibilities here are really going to be endless. This also gives you the ability currently in its first version to read assets, read activity logs, and read companies. But as I've mentioned on this slide, more capabilities are certainly on the way. The next one is going to be creating and editing assets, which is going to be huge for automating everything that you have considered an asset. You'll essentially be able to not only search those items easily, but go ahead and update them based off of things that are needed. What I do want to do is engage chat a little bit here, and I want everybody to go ahead and say, one, if you've used the MCP yet, and two, what else you want to see possible with the MCP. What are you most excited to be able to automate here using your LLM? I'd love to hear everybody's ideas and just kind of from the way that you use Hudu, what's going to be most impactful for you. Um, so yeah, chat engagement, that's what we're here for. Um, Next thing is mermaid diagrams. If you haven't explored this yet, this is a new style in the WYSIWYG editor where you can go into your code source and select the mermaid language. Uh, what I found is people either know what mermaid diagrams are and the mermaid language is, and they were super excited for this to become possible within Hudu, or they have never heard of mermaid. This is a good representation of how a mermaid diagram looks. You essentially are creating flowcharts, diagrams, etc., using a code sample that you can do directly in the Hudu editor. So this is really nice for creating those visual diagrams and flowcharts directly in the KB editor without having to embed them in from other sources. So definitely recommend taking a look at this feature. And the cool thing is Mermaid, if you just look up Mermaid site, they have a bunch of examples that you can start from as well. I mentioned this earlier with our processes section, but PDF overhaul. This was also long overdue, and we had got many feature requests on overhauling our PDF, making them look a lot nicer, including more in them. And we definitely heard you all on that, for sure. Even when, as a person who does a lot of demos, right? Doing those PDF exports examples was always a little tough, and now they look so great. They're very clean. They include your KB articles, your processes, your runs, and so just a lot of new features included in the PDFs, a lot of new UI work, and they're a lot just nicer, whether you're offboarding clients or giving, exporting a PDF to um, whoever it may be, the end user, the another MSP. They just look a lot nicer now. Um, our asset layout directory. The biggest point here was that managing your asset layouts was difficult. If we wanted to create a new folder, we had to one by one go in and edit the asset layout, move it to the folder that we wanted. It was in alphabetical order, not in the folder structure that it was in the asset layout section. So it was just a little bit difficult to kind of manage things. With our asset layout directory, we made that a lot easier. You can easily see everything that's in each folder from this one screen. You can bulk manage your asset layouts and move them from one folder to the next. And your view is just a lot cleaner. So hopefully this has helped, you and your admin just manage your asset layouts a lot easier. That brings us to expanded table filters. So this is something that, to be honest, Hoodoo's always going to be working on, right? We want to be able to filter as much as possible through our tables inside of Hoodoo. And this quarter brought a lot of more filtering options for you. So being able to filter companies by type, passwords by color and tags, networks and VLANs by status and role, assets. This is probably the biggest one, assets by plain text and list select fields. So just making it a lot easier to really find the information that you need and filter by the values that you are looking for as well. We also brought more filtering to global as well. And again, you're going to continue to see this be applied throughout Hoodoo as well. Um, Company switcher. This is a really nice one when you are using things like child companies and favoriting certain companies in Hoodoo. If you haven't seen, you now have a little drop down here on the company that you're in, and all of your child companies, locations, what sites, whatever you want to call them, are easily accessible directly from that parent company. You can also easily see your favorites, your recents, and all companies directly from this area. So again, the big point here was it was just hard to switch between companies and especially maintain the place that we were at within those companies. And this feature really helped you kind of accomplish that much easier. You'll notice a big theme here for this past quarter has been making Hoodoo users' lives easier. It's really what we're trying to go for, and hopefully you've seen that a lot with these releases. Going off with that, this is maybe less applicable for customers that have been using Hoodoo for a while, but definitely very applicable to new users onboarding with Hoodoo as well. We actually introduced a guided setup wizard, onboarding wizard that automatically populates your Hoodoo instance with some sample data when you first get started. What I do want to point you to is even if you are a customer, this also introduced 23 new asset layout templates to the asset layout library. So if you are curious about more asset layouts that you can create, and that may be beneficial for you, might be worth taking a look at the new asset layout templates that we've added, as we pretty much tripled the amount that was in there. Um, Again, making life easier, automatic downloads. In the past, you would have to wait for your exports to be completed. Now you can work while you're waiting for those exports. So automatically downloading in the background. You can even get notified once that download is completed. So again, just making life easier as you're doing those exports. And then the last core app one, which I definitely wanted to include this because it was a very common feature request, was the ability to archive photos. Pretty self-explanatory, but we added this ability for main app, mobile app, and API use. You now have the ability to do this in bulk, as well as individually. So now you have obviously in your museum a dedicated section for photos as well. So hopefully all great changes to the main app that we went through here this past quarter, but now a couple of additional things on our external apps as well. Like I mentioned, we did have a mobile and a browser extension release. Um, so for the mobile, again, making life easier as you're on the go, bulk actions for all records, the ability to uh, basically do what you can do in the main app, except in the mobile when you're bulk actioning items, moving them, deleting them, archiving them, etc. Also gave you the ability to access your record tools, so relationships, comments, photos, files, basically everything you see on that right-hand sidebar when you're in the main app. You now have the ability to see those items in the mobile app. We also, of course, brought process runs to mobile. So with the introduction of processes and runs in the main app, we, of course, wanted that same system available for you in the mobile app. And this gave you the ability to do that. And then to our browser extension, obviously this had a big change this past quarter, and we got a lot of positive feedback on that. And so it essentially combined our Hudu Assist capabilities, which is giving you the ability to access your Hudu documentation, those relationships while you're in your PSA or RMM. And we kind of combine that with our existing browser extension. This is also going to give you the ability to access knowledge base articles through the extension, tie in screen capture, as well as your typical password management features through the extension as well. There's some more things coming with this as well, and Jordan will get to those a bit later on. So there's a big reason that we did this for future items coming to the extension as well. So that is everything from my section for things that were released in Q2. I know we have a couple of questions in here, and Jordan has been answering those throughout. But we are going to go ahead and transition over to the coming soon. He will go through everything on the horizon here, both in our next release as well as a couple future items beyond that. And so at this point, Jordan, unless you want to take any quick questions, we'll go ahead and just shift over to you for everything coming here shortly.
Perfect. Yeah, just finishing up an answer on a question, but I can you can go ahead and do that live. Question came in. We've had some confusion around when to use a process run versus a KB. KBs are good for documenting how things are done. Processes are good for documenting how to complete tasks. Michael, I would say that's really the kind of differentiator, and there is some overlap. And we have seen teams create KB articles for process or for how to do things, processes for what to do. But that is typically what I like to think about it. KB articles are typically the what and the why. Processes are the how, the step by step. So if a technician needs to follow a step by step guide in order to accomplish a task, I would typically recommend utilizing the processes there. Kind of rule of thumb: if someone needs to follow steps to complete, use a process. If someone needs to understand how something works, it's a KB article. What I would recommend, we have built, both of these documentation methods off the Diataxis framework. So I would, highly recommend kind of reading up on that because it's a great framework to reference on what type of documentation you should use for the type of information that you're writing. Happy to go more into depth on our philosophy there as well. Just a little bit hard in a webinar, but feel free to email me, jordan@hudu.com. Uh, Perfect. So the coming soon section. I will caveat this by we have a lot of features that the team is working on, and I do not have enough time to include everything. So if we've talked to you at conferences, on Reddit, in communities, in our Slack channels, all of the various places that we engage with the community and have mentioned something that you don't see here, it does not mean that we are not working on it. I just tried to highlight the big picture things and the most exciting. But without further ado, Daniel, if you want to go to the next slide, Our next update, our 2.44.0 update, is slated to release next week. With that, it will include labels. So this will be a deprecation of the traditional password tags and a replacement of our concept of labels, which is essentially password tags, except not limited to passwords. These are going to be cross-record ways to organize your documentation. So think, labeling something M365 or Microsoft, whether that be a KB article, desktops, processes that may relate to those specific things. So you can organize a bunch of different record types utilizing a single label. You will be able to scope these labels specific to individual companies or even record types. If you don't want passwords to be utilizing a specific label, you can prevent that from happening and prevent any of your text from actually using this. So not only is it going to be a more powerful way to tag information cross record, it's also a way to find, organize, and sort information. And I will have a little bit more on records as well when we get to some other things, as obviously there's some more uses than just the labels themselves. But next up is going to be Halo custom fields. So we released connected fields, in an enhancement to our integrations. Probably been about 6 to 8 months now, Daniel, hasn't it? With connected fields, maybe longer. But one of the biggest complaints is that custom fields from integrations has not been able to come over. The standard fields that you could use were the standard fields within the integrations. Halo is our first integration that we are introducing custom fields to. So all of the custom fields that you have set up for assets, sites, contacts, etc., will be able to be pulled in and then mapped to your Hudu data or to your Hudu fields, so that you can actually keep that information accurate. Like I said, Halo is the first integration that we're going to be doing this with, but we have plans to release this probably next for Ninja and ConnectWise, and then ideally any other integration that also utilizes connected fields. Sorry, custom fields. Get those words confused. You can go on to the next one here for me. So this is kind of what I talked about with the labels. There's some additional things that you'll be able to do with labels. And one of those is our advanced search view. So advanced search is essentially a separate interface that is going to allow for more complex searches based on additional criteria. Things like filtering down by the company, the asset layout that records exist within, and then of course labels as well. So you'd be able to filter down to Microsoft 365 label within Atlas Co company that also exists within, my desktop's asset layout. Another really cool thing with this is that you'll actually be able to save those URLs and share them with the rest of your team. So you don't have to perform that filter criteria multiple times. You can actually start saving those search results for easy navigation. The advanced search will also continuously expand on what filters are available and will eventually have a preview function as well. So we can reduce the amount that you need to navigate away, but that preview function is a little bit further down the line. All right. Updated editor. So one of the biggest complaints that we've gotten with Hudu is the WYSIWYG editor and the functionality or lack of functionality that it provides. So we are updating the editor to a block style editor. This will bring over all the functionality that you currently have with the WYSIWYG. So anything that you can do today, you'll also be able to do with this new editor. So existing functionality, don't worry, those articles will convert over. You'll be able to do anything that you can do currently. The advantages of the block editor, though, is that it's going to also provide some additional functionality like better tables within your organization, better ability to move and adjust articles. And then the big reason for this is it allows us to add additional functionality a lot easier. So things like tagging records and like tagging users, tagging records, assets, etc., is functionality that we can actually now start to work towards. It won't be releasing with this new editor, but that's something that we will be focused on immediately after the launch so that we can start building upon what's possible. This will be available for all rich text editors. So that means your KB articles, your processes, your rich text fields inside of assets, your quick notes. So there's going to be a lot of changes to those fields, but hopefully in a good positive way and allow us to it continuously improve upon it. All righty. So this one is probably the biggest one in my section. And if you've been following us on our community channels, we actually put out a build a feature. So I understand there's probably going to be a lot of questions on this one. I will try to answer as many as I can. But if you haven't, check out our community.hudu.com page. It's got the build a feature. So we are building this project in public with everyone. So please, check out that post, provide your feedback. Let us comment on that in a little bit more in-depth fashion than I'll be able to do here. But gist of the changes. Portal users are the traditional portal that you're used to is essentially getting deprecated. Portal users will now become normal users inside of your Hudu environment, meaning they will have access to everything that your technician users have access to in a read-only fashion. What this really means is you'll be able to give portal users access to multiple companies. So instead of being limited to a single portal, they'll be able to access multiple companies, sites, however you want to organize that. Portal users will remain free. So this is not an upcharge, this is not an upsell. Portal users will remain free for you. They'll just have access to more things. With that, they'll get access to all of the new functionality. The big limitation of Portal is that it doesn't give them access to any of the new tools that we've been releasing. IPAM, photos, rack management, process runs, they'll now have access to that. They will also have access to the My Vault. So they'll be able to store their own personal passwords, update those, utilize the browser extension for autofill, auto generation. And SSO. So with this project, there's actually a lot of, I guess I would call them side features that go along with this. One of those being the SSO support using OIDC. If you hop into the community, one of the comments you will see many times is allowing you to set up a single tenant inside of Microsoft 365. That is the approach we'll do. They'll be able to click sign in with 365. You won't need to set it up for every single Microsoft 365 tenant. So you'll just be able to kind of make that really easy for portal users. Now, the last one is the turning off core features. So one of the big things we've heard is we don't use passwords or we don't use processes. We're actually introducing this concept in two separate fashions with these changes. You'll be able to turn off core features to your entire environment. So if you don't want any of your users to see passwords or KB articles, you can turn that off. If you don't want specific security groups to be able to do that, you can also do it in that fashion as well. Maximilian, will licensing change when portal users become normal users? No. Portal users will remain free, so they will just be essentially introduced into your current environment at still that free cost. Robbie, and sorry, Daniel, just gonna catch up on some of these questions. Will there be a beta release for the new features coming soon? Yes, Robbie, beta is releasing, I believe, next Tuesday. Will it be possible to make adding a label a required field for lack of a better way of putting it? Josh, not initially, but that's a really good point. I can definitely see a use case for making in order to save it's a required field. We are adding labels is done in two separate ways. You can do it from the sidebar on an already published record or from the edit pages. So there's definitely a chance we could add in, if you do it from the edit page, you make it a required field, just not at initial MVP launch.
Also, real quick, Jordan, just because I wanted to make sure that to clarify, Robbie, the beta release is coming soon next week, as Jordan mentioned, or within the next week. That does not include everything Jordan's talking about here. That does include things like labels, which I think that was your question on. So labels is included, custom fields for Connect or for Halo is included. But some of these things like portal changes, for example. That is a upcoming, quarter working on, but not necessarily in this next release.
Yeah, great clarification. Thank you. Cool. I think you can go on. I'll keep monitoring questions, but all right, asset layout builder. This one's a little bit smaller than the other ones I've talked about, but just giving you a better way to manage the assets with a drag and drop form builder. You'll be able to preview your assets, or sorry, your asset layouts while you're building them. And then it's going to allow us to add additional edit elements. So heading fields, separators, things like that. You'll be able to do all of that from a single view as opposed to currently it's a multi-step or multi-page kind of process to edit all of those. So less page hopping, auto saving, consolidated view for you really just makes managing those asset layouts a little bit simpler. Integration directory. So integration directory is getting a nice UI overhaul. No more of the forest screen chips for active integrations. You'll actually get distinct collapsible sections and better insight into what integration statuses are. So are they active? Are they currently syncing? Are they erroring out? So you won't need to hop into the integration settings to figure that out and see whether there's an error with the sync. You'll just be able to go to your integration directory and see this a little bit easier. This is piggybacking off of our widget that we recently released a couple versions ago that does show you that information, whether it's active, erroring, or currently syncing. This is just from the integration directory side of things. Alert improvements. So just giving you more granularity on how to configure alerts. So additional webhook variables, choosing the record ID, the record type, the company that those alerts are for, or company ID, and that URL. Company asset layout and expiration type filters. So you'll be able to, say, I just want to see SSL certificates for my Atlas company, as opposed to right now, you kind of have to get that alert for all SSL certificates or all record types. You'll be able to filter those down, really configure those. The goal here is to make automation even easier. So a lot of automations are built off of webhook alerts. So this should really help with that. Expirations will also be sorted by date and email. Not sure why that hasn't always been a thing, but that is coming as well. All right, let's see. So Hudu Assist, if you haven't used it, it got a pretty big overhaul. I want to say in 2.42 or right around that release version, where we consolidated the view from Hudu Assist and the browser extension into a single unified view. Now we are working on functionality for PSAs and tickets. So I did answer a similar question earlier in the Q&A, but we are essentially going to suggest KB articles for within Hudu Assist when a ticket comes in. So ticket content comes in, ticket key has some keywords. We will suggest Hudu information based on those ticket keywords and the ticket content so that your team doesn't have to search for those. Ideally, it's just going to find that here. Now, Assist does have a lot of additional functionality that'll be coming to it as well, such as processes and the ability to access those, suggest processes as well. Suggesting KBs, because it already has the KB functionality, is that first step, but we will continue to expand on this. Another one I did want to call out with the Hudu Assist / browser extension, we will have the option as well coming back to just use the browser extension if you'd like. The default will be the full Hudu Assist panel, but we did hear some feedback that some clients just want the password manager, so we'll be bringing that back as well. All right. Now, my favorite update of the day is Houdini improvements. So, if you're not familiar, Houdini is our AI agent that is sits inside of the product. Right now, it works really well for summarizing data. You can ask it questions. It can generate content for you, and it uses a concept called prompt rules to figure out or for you to dictate how you want the responses to come back to you. We are making some pretty big changes with Houdini, though. This is piggybacking off of the MCP functionality. So instead of having to work out of Claude or Copilot, ChatGPT with those MCP function skill or sorry MCP tools, we're going to bring that into Houdini. So from within the product itself, you can start utilizing AI to do those MCP functionalities. You know, suggesting articles, pasting in tickets, and having it edit or update knowledge-based articles, assets, etc. We're also converting our prompt rules over to skills. Really, that's just a terminology change. I like to say, a little bit ahead of the game on skills with our prompt rules feature, but we're essentially allowing you to create skills and then utilize those skills. It'll also pull current page context. So if you're on a KB article or on a network within your Hudu environment and open up Houdini, it will auto pull that information in and use it as context for Houdini. So in this screenshot, you can see I was on a security incident response KB article. Houdini's going to suggest using that page as context, but you can go ahead and exit out of that if you just wanted to open a random chat. Down below that is my improved clarity. That's my skill, and we can add multiple skills to it. But basically, my goal here in this particular chat is I want to evaluate my security incident response and improve the clarity of the article for my technicians. So really, that's all I need to go ahead and do. I could start that chat and go forward. Couple other things that this will allow. It's multiple chats as well. So no longer do you need to, do you lose your context after closing Houdini? You'll be able to organize all of your chats inside of the Houdini interface itself. And lastly, we are bringing Claude support to Houdini. So obviously, Anthropic has been getting wildly popular, especially in our space. So Claude will be one of the supported methodologies. Now, this is the last thing that I had for Houdini and AI, but AI is obviously a big topic within internally for us, as well as it is, I'm sure, internally for all of you. We have some big plans for where we want to take Houdini, the MCP, Hudu Assist. That is just a little bit too early for me to talk about right now, but just know that we have some autonomous AI functionality on the roadmap for pretty soon. So, all right. I listed these ones out in this fashion because I could not grab screenshots for all of them. So we kind of get a rapid fire here. But some other things that we've been talking about, like I said, I can't include everything into my sections, but I'll try to include as much as I can. KB folder permissions, something that we've been asked for quite a bit. We'll be able to set group folder permissions for KB parent level folders in both the company and central KBs. This is going to be a huge one, especially with those portal user changes that I mentioned. You're going to need to be able to restrict KB folders from those portal users and probably should be able to from your techs as well. So introducing KB folder permissions. Passkey management is coming to the browser extension and our password manager. So you'll be able to manage account passkeys from inside of Hudu and the browser extension. I did already mention the turning off core features. Again, if you're not utilizing a tool, you can either turn it off for the entire environment or turn it off per security group. On the AI side of things, CLI and agent skills. So not only are we bringing skills to Houdini, we're actually releasing a CLI as well for our MCP functionality. The main reason is that MCP is pretty hard on the token counts because we're trying to use MCP in or MCP is really built around kind of human readable. The CLI makes it agent readable. We're making the agents a little bit more efficient. We're going to allow it to, or the CLI allows automations to happen through the terminal. So, or through coding agents. So, just makes MCP functionality and accessing your documentation via AI or LLMs a lot more efficient. Pinned records, kind of a small one, but a big quality of life. If any of your admins or super admins want to pin records to the top of a page so that they're easily findable for new text, existing text, etc., they're going to be able to do that. So again, designate specific articles that as pinned to bring them to the top and make them easily findable. Text don't need to search for those articles. And then activity log filter improvements. Activity logs, in my opinion, are one of the worst tables inside of Hudu. So we are doing an overhaul on those. You'll be able to narrow them down by record type and apply advanced filters for better results. You know, if you want to know articles that were created within a specific date range, that should be really easy without having to utilize, AI does great right now with the MCP. Automations do great. The API is probably the best way to do that. Should be available in the UI and is coming. Now, I think that's my last slide there. So I will pass it back off to Daniel. I will sit in the Q&A for a little bit and answer all of these questions. I saw the chat kind of going crazy on a lot of them, so I'm sure there's lots for me, but I'll try and answer as much as I can.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. Yeah, I'm gonna quickly run through for the next, 2, 3 minutes here, just some resources for you. It does include some exciting things in there for you as well. And then what we'll do is we'll make sure that all the questions in the Q&A are answered in our remaining 10 minutes or so. So Jordan had mentioned earlier our build a feature for the portal in the community. Again, another point to the community. Um, for discussion, right? That's where we're going to do those build of features in the future for Portal and for other large changes coming to Hudu. So if you're not a part of the community yet, that's where you can find things like our events coming up, like this webinar or upcoming conferences that we'll be attending. Discussion like our build of features, as well as just an ability to ask ideas and get insights from other Hudu users. Automation library. This is still one of the most powerful parts of Hudu. Scripts in there for PowerShell, N8N, Roost, migration scripts, and more. And also a great way to keep up to date on our release notes. So again, community.hudu.com. Jordan, if you wouldn't mind actually linking the build a feature for Portal in the chat there, just so anybody can access it if they haven't yet, that would be great. But obviously, we have presence on a lot of sources. Community is just the one that you can find all of this in a nice central area. Um, Case studies and testimonials. If you are interested in doing a case study with us, whether that's written or anything like that, if you love using Hudu, if Hudu has transformed the way you work, if you're using it in a unique way, definitely reach out to us. We'd love to do a case study with you. We now have, we have quite a lot that are on our site. Obviously, use your logo and everything like that. So again, if it's something that's interesting to you to do, please reach out to us. We'd love to do a case study with you. Um, Recent conferences. We probably saw a couple of you at one of these, but this past quarter we did the MSP show, SIT show in London. So that was our first international conference, which was very fun. We did MSP GeekCon and PAX 8 Beyond in Salt Lake City. Upcoming, if you are going to be at either of these two in the next Build It Live is next quarter, IT Nation's the quarter following, but we will be at both of these two. These will be the last two conferences we do of the year. So definitely come and say hi. We always love to put a name to a face to a name, however you want to say it. And it's always great connecting with all of you at these shows. Speaking of Build It Live in Jersey City, August 3rd through 5th, and tying back in our community. We are going to be able to give out a couple of partner tickets to Build It Live. So if you don't have tickets yet and it is a show you are interested in going to, we will be posting a community post on our community.hudu.com here very soon, and be giving away some tickets to Build It Live. So again, if you are interested in going, don't have tickets yet, but want them, then definitely be on the lookout for that post in the community. Other than that, we can jump in and make sure that all of the questions are answered today. I do want to say that we'll be on for the next 10 minutes, but if you are going to be dropping off, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. I really hoped you liked what you saw, both out of what we've done in just a quarter's work and what we have coming soon. Our team, both Jordan and I, as well as internally, our engineering team, our support team, right? All of our teams love to see the feedback and the hype that a feature gets. And so really just want to say thank you again for joining us. We love this webinar. We love seeing the feedback and the questions that come with it. So we'll stay on for 10 minutes, answer questions here. I'll shoot it back over to Jordan to answer some of those live. I just wanted to say thank you before some of you start dropping off here.
Yeah, perfect. Like Daniel said, if anybody's dropping off, really appreciate you coming to the webinar. Hopefully, you got some good insight into what we've been building, what we've released, and what we have planned to come. Like you said, though, I will be answering some questions. I've got a few answered already, but yeah, we'll be answering these live. So starting off, when can we expect the Unify OS integration to be ready? Dustin, that was one of the ones I just couldn't fit into my slide deck. I believe that one is slated for 2.45, if I'm not mistaken. Again, we're launching 2.44 to beta next week. So that one should be in the next major update, if I'm not mistaken. In addition to My Vault for customers, any plans in shared passwords for groups or with MSP? Manuel, can you expand on that a little bit? Are you, looking for shared passwords, or like their portal users kind of editing access to the company passwords, or yeah, if you don't mind expanding on that. We have talked about, introducing some concept of a light user. Still real early in discussions there, so don't have much information to give if that's kind of what you're looking for. Is there a plan to have any integration to pull Azure resources into Hudu? Example, subscriptions, resource groups, VMs, subnets. Tyler, it's something we've talked about. It really just hasn't gained any traction internally. Definitely something that we would like to do and have talked about. Unfortunately, just hasn't made the roadmap. Would highly recommend, just throwing a vote and a comment on our feedback.hudu.com page or pinging us on community and starting a discussion around that. I know one of our customer success team, I think, was looking at it, doing it with a automation script as well in the meantime. But are there any plans to implement the ability to have an alert or expiration created ticket in currently supported PSA platforms? Michael, I believe you can already do that with the ability to send those webhooks. We have quite a few customers who just configure, the webhook to send to the PSAs. I know I've seen it work with Halo, ConnectWise, etc. So if that's not what you're looking at, oh, sorry, I should have kept reading. We can do email-based and webhook alerts, but can we create a ticket on a alert or expiration? If we email our ticket email, it's not going to map to the company it's associated with. Okay, so company mapping. I'd be interested to see if those additional alert filters would help with that. Again, something we'd have to, kind of look into if you can add a filter for it and then map to a specific area in the PSA or to a specific company. Not something I know off the top of my head if that would be possible. But I would imagine we could build an automation to do that pretty easily. IPAM does not support IPv6 as far as I'm aware. You are correct there. We're supporting some mature organizations. Yeah, so IPv6 definitely something that we need to look into getting into IPAM. When we initially released it, it wasn't quite as popular, but it definitely is gaining traction now. Something, yeah, I'd throw a feedback or sorry, I'd throw a feature request in our feedback. I'm sure it's already on there though, so we can evaluate. But yeah, we just need to reevaluate adding that in, but something that we would like to do. Do we have a solution to be able to add an expiration field to password items? Something been challenged in some instances because that is not an option. We don't currently. It is something we've talked about, just adding an expiration field. Really, just one of those smaller features that kind of got pushed back in priority. But again, shoot me an email with that, and I can see what we can do. We've definitely talked about adding, password expirations kind of built in. Are there any plans to add a feature for Office files in KB? So definitely something that we have talked about. We were recently approved to do this. One of the challenges is that we offer the self-hosted solution, and we share complete feature parity between the two versions, hosted and self-hosted. If we were to release this, it's unfortunately something that Microsoft restricts from being self-hosted. So it's just something that we need to evaluate internally with the new KB editor. We do have some ideas on how we can kind of get around that. Um, but at this time, no, it's not on the immediate roadmap outside of those additional features with the new editor. Michael, when we have information that is brought in by an integration such as LionGuard, the information can be viewed within the asset, but it's not exported in a runbook. That is correct. We do not export out integration information. If you want information, data fields from integrations to be exported out, you need to use that connected fields where you're mapping the integration data point into the Hudu custom fields. That would be the only way to export that information out. But it does have the connected fields functionality for that. Will there be a license where the customer can create sometime passwords and won't use the other functions so we can sell easier? Maybe. I don't want to promise anything on that. Like I said, we are evaluating the concept of a light user where they'd have access to edit just passwords. Again, very, very early in discussions and not sure how that conversation will end, but it is something with these portal changes that we've gotten requested quite a bit. So we'll definitely, think about that, evaluate it, and see what we can do with the portal changes. Right now, they will only have edit access to those My Vault passwords. You give them read only access to any passwords that you'd like, company passwords that you'd like. But at this time, no, they will not. But yeah, light users is a potential. Again, I'd suggest throwing a feedback.hudu.com page there so we can evaluate that. And Manuel, I think that was a pretty similar answer to your question as well. All
Cool.
righty, so that is most of the or all of the Q&A. Did I miss anything in chat, Daniel? Are we good
Uh,
there?
the only thing that I saw that was never answered, first off, shout out Greg. Thanks for providing a resource for one of those questions there. Always love when the community helps each other. So shout out you, Greg. The only one I saw from a while ago was just Michael had a question. I would love an or more of a request. I would love an option to set the default asset layout view to be collapsed. And I think that's the only thing we haven't hit on.
Okay, yeah. Default asset essentially, hide all blanks is. I think that's kind of what we're asking for there. Yeah, shoot me an email or add it to the feedback.hudu.com page. Happy to look into what options we have there.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you, Jordan, for wrapping up on those questions. We are just about at time here, so another perfect timed quarter update webinar. Thank you all so much for joining again. Thanks for asking your questions. Thanks for those of you that are Hudu customers for being a customer, being part of the community, it definitely goes a long way. And all it really does is allows us to continue to improve the product based off of what you are all looking for. So thanks so much. From both of us and honestly from the whole team at Hudu. Everybody watches these back for the most part or is live on them. So we all really appreciate you all. And we definitely hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day and wonderful upcoming quarter 3, and are looking forward to everything coming. Um, Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate the kind words. Uh, I wasn't talking to myself, by the way. I was talking to Daniel in the chat. But appreciate you all. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. And thanks for joining another one of these. Jordan and I will be back on at the end of Q3, hopefully highlighting in my section all of these awesome things that have been released. And everything that's all again coming soon, right? It doesn't just stop with this, it'll continue going forward. So thanks, everybody. Hope you all have a great day. And if you ever need anything, Jordan and I are both here for you. The whole Hoodoo team is support everybody. So reach out if you need anything. All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thanks so much.